to me as believers, we are born and shaped in iniquity, in things that have happened in our life. But I don't want us to get stuck in a place where we don't know how to rise above. And to me, sabotaging, because to me, self-infliction is kind of like a self-sabotage, where you actually undercut your ability to heal or grow. Like some people rise, but we ashes. Everywhere we go, our light be flashing. 'Cause you're alive, yes, you're alive. You can rise, ashes just enough the ashes. Rise from the ashes. So everywhere we go, our light be flashing. 'Cause you're alive, yes, you're alive. You can rise, ashes just enough the. Hi, I'm Sandy Powell. Welcome to the Round Table. I guess everyone has what we call scars, things that we have injured ourselves or caused pain. Sometimes we don't know how to deal with it when we're the ones who caused the pain and caused the scars. But today we're going to talk about that, on how to heal or how to deal with the scars that you caused. And Reverend Prathan Powell, my husband, is going to co-host with me today again on this topic. You know, I'm happy to have you sit here looking at me, talking.
Glad to be here always.
Good. You and I both know this topic too well, firsthand. Scars and the scars and pains that we cause ourselves.
Yes.
And sometimes it's difficult for people to know how to handle and deal with it, even when it comes down to either forgiving themselves or how to get past the pain and the scars that has been caused in their lives at their own hand. What do you think?
Well, first of all, one has to be willing to own their role or their part in the injury, if we per se, because it's easy to do the Adam Eve blame game, but it's better always to say, I must acknowledge this, and acknowledging something, saying, okay, I'm gonna take my part of my ownership. Now, I may not own all of it. If it's just 1%, that's still a percentage that you own, and that is the beginning process of starting the healing process.
I know that sometimes when we cause our own pain and cause our own scars, like you said, we like to try to find another source of our pain or another source of our hurt. And so that's where I guess the blame game comes in. We don't want to really look at the fact that I've done this to myself. And so we injure again in that area as well, because now we start to look at other people or other situations and try to attach the blame to them or that person's for what we have caused, and now again causing more harm and more injury to the situation, as opposed to just owning, like you said, the part that they have played in their injury. And when I say injury, I'm talking across the board. You know, we injure ourselves in many ways, you know, and we cause our own scars sometimes, self-inflicted wounds. Like, for one, I know when we indulge in things that God has told us not to indulge in, and there is a consequence to it, we now cannot blame anyone. And I'm not saying that anyone is better than the other. Self-inflicted wounds are just that, across the board. But let's say, for instance, if someone was to go and have unprotected sex and they contract something, that's a self-inflicted wound. That's something that was caused, their own injury, their own pain. And sometimes we want to blame the person who gave it to us, when in actuality, the first initial person I have to look at is myself. That if I had not been involved in this person or with this person, I could very well have not been inflicted with this disease or whatever it is that happens. So what do you think that is the best avenue in dealing with initially owning our, because you said own it, owning our, because that's the first thing we do is we deflect, owning it.
Well, I don't want to sound carnal, but it can be a carnal statement. you know, there's the song that Michael Jackson was saying about the man in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that's a reflection. And so often as Christians, because I'm a believer,
Right.
we like to deflect. But every now and then, we need to do this more, is reflect. What part did I play in that? You know, it was like coming out of a bad relationship and you go to another bad relationship. Evidently, it's something you're not addressing relating to you, is why you keep getting these same re-injuries again.
Right.
You know, it's like when God set you free, you're free indeed, but it's like when God delivered from a situation of an addiction. Well, if you go around people that are still doing that type of lifestyle, well, you subject to fall back into it. So now you have afflicted yourself again with the same injury that now it takes even more to get you out of it.
And I think that that's a good example of self-infliction, or scarring of oneself, is when we indulge in drug use and drug addiction, to include abusing alcohol.
Yes.
That when we do these things, we have to know that there is a consequence to it, and that it will bring about scars and it will bring about injury. So when we find ourselves indulging in drug use and drug addictions, or substance abuse, let's just say that is what I call self-inflicting on ourselves. But we can't blame other people for our addiction, and especially, you know, I'm not, now let me just clear the air, because I hear it. I hear some people saying some people were turned on when they were young and they were influenced. Okay, I'm not speaking to those injuries.
No.
I'm talking about someone going in, eyes wide open. They know better, but they still enter into a gate. They still cross a line, causing injury and afflictions and scars to themselves. We have had people who have been delivered from addictions, but they find themselves, I guess, surrounding themselves with the wrong people, or the people who are still torn with their addiction, and then they find themselves drawn back into that addiction.
Let's use a scripture that says, evil associates corrupt good manners. So that would be revisiting the scars that are in the process of healing. Whenever I've injured myself, normally I put a Band-Aid. Band-Aid is to aid the injury
In healing, yeah.
in the healing process. But if I keep peeling it back, looking at it, and then start peeling back that little, what we call a little scab, it goes back to that whitish look, and then it starts bleeding again.
Right.
Now, who caused that? I did. It's like with the heart. Out of the heart comes for the issues of life. Everybody in life experiences an injury, a scar. Some caused by others, but some we cause ourselves. We easily say, you did that to me. It's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right.
You're the reason why. Well, we have to stop doing that and say, you know what? I got to look at Prathan. I got to look at the man in the mirror who sees who he really is.
Right. And I think that, like you said, is the beginning of the healing of scars, regardless of what the scar is, but especially those ones that are caused by, like, at my own hands. What I've got to do is stop blaming other people for my movement.
Okay.
Stop blaming other people for my decisions, for my acts, for my choices, and allow myself to be healed. Because every time we allow ourselves to deflect or put the blame someplace else, we once again will cause an injury to ourselves, because we're not, like, if I was to cut my leg and I say it's not me cutting my leg, even though the knife is in my hand, I blame someone else for the reason why I'm cutting myself. Every time I injure myself, I don't think it's me, and I won't stop.
Okay.
But if we just own the fact that it's at your will and it's your decision to not injure yourself, and that even includes going into what I call toxic relationships, toxic,
ministries. I hate to say it, but ministries can be toxic. And the reason I say they can be toxic because if you know that you're in a place where it's just no reference of God in that place, the leadership is corrupt, and all you care about is being positioned, then you really causing that scar to be even worse.
Right.
Because even God himself says the handwriting's on the wall.
Right.
We don't want God to forsake the assembly, but if God forsake the place, then why are you there?
Right.
That's religion-wise. Because
Right.
people always say we got church hurt. So if your church hurt is that because of a scar that you encountered.
But most of the church
Pain.
hurt is self-inflicted wounds.
Definitely.
Most of the church hurt that I have heard, very few is at the hand of the church. The majority of church hurts that I have known have always been volunteer participation
Yes.
in darkness. And then in the middle of their participation comes the pain and the hurt, which is really self-inflicted because, first of all, according to the word, we know what we should and should not do. Mm-hmm. So when we get injured, I have to know that it's at my hand that I'm injured. Like if I throw a boulder up in the air and stand up under it, I've got to know the boulder's coming down on top of my head, right?
Yes, that's true.
To me, that's what I mean by self-inflicted wounds and scars that people need to learn how to heal from. Mm-hmm. In other words, stop, like you said, revisiting those old wounds and opening them back up. Like some people want to talk about the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Constantly revisiting the hurt and not moving on to what would cause you to be healed, to actually grow from it. And that part, to me, is where people go into blaming other people. You're never going to grow that way. And so as long as you can blame someone else, there's no growth, and you will repeat that action.
Well, I call them pain seekers. You know, you're looking for avenues and places to remind you of that dark place. You know, anytime you have a scar, it's a bad reminder. Because when you look at it, you see it, it becomes a mental illness for a person. I don't want to say that lightly. It has to be something mentally going on for them to revisit these scars that they could be delivered from. But they have to want to be delivered, not blaming you or I, but owning it. In other words, if the door says exit and the building's on fire, why are you staying in the building? Get out.
Right.
Okay, sometimes when accidents happen, people come back and visit and they remember that. Say a loved one passed, they go back and they revisit the graveyard over and over again. It's kind of like revisiting that scar that you're trying to be healed of.
And I think that, to me as believers, we are born and shaped in iniquity, in things that have happened in our life. But I don't want us to get stuck in a place where we don't know how to rise above. And to me, sabotaging, because to me, self-infliction is kind of like a self-sabotage, where you actually undercut your ability to heal or grow. Like some people actually get off into being sick for the attention, or get off into being afflicted because it brings some type of gratification of attention. And to me, that is kind of like the stuff that we have to kind of grow so that we can get healthy in our mind and also in our body. Because we cause sickness on ourselves. You know, I know people who actually speak sickness out of their mouth onto themselves. And I believe that this is a time where we have to understand that we need to grow past this moment. We need to learn how to heal from self-afflictions, wounds that we have caused on our own selves. I know one thing that you and I do, and we do quite often, is honesty.
Yes.
And painful honesty sometimes. Sometimes it's not comfortable, and you and I have, even our own personal life, have had to revisit self-inflicted wounds or self-inflicted injuries that we cause on ourselves, you to you and me to me, and not look to blame someone else for the state in which we were in, because at that place, blaming someone didn't allow us to heal and grow and be able to get up and move forward, because we always had an alibi or a reason to hold on to. It's kind of like holding on to the end of a knife, not letting it go. You're going to continually to injure yourself as long as you hold on to this thing hurt me. This is the thing that hurt me, but you won't let it go.
And you won't stay away from it.
And you won't stay away from it. So you constantly grabbing the knives, the swords, the end of a weapon, and you know it's going to cause you injury, but you won't let it go. And to me, I think that that's something that believers, we have kind of taken a turn there. We look for, I call it the Adam and Eve syndrome. We look for someone to blame for our hurts and our pains. But I heard the Spirit of the Lord talking to me about this, about healing from self-inflicted wounds.
Okay.
Because when you don't learn better, you don't do better.
Yeah.
And so as long as we have the avenue or the option of placing the blame someplace else, we won't actually pick up and do the work that we need to do to get whole and to get healed in and of ourselves. We'll find ourselves constantly dipping in another barrel when this is the barrel I need to be dipping in to heal myself. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I was thinking about when Jesus was doing what he always done, perform a miracle. But he asked this particular question to this individual. He said, "Will you be made whole?" And all the guy could say, "Well, I can't do it because that's such." He gave a reason. So a lot of time with these scars, we like them for some reason, because if you keep talking about the same injury, you're not trying to make progress, or it gives you gratification. Now, gratification goes in different forms. It can be the point that it's going to bring people to you. People can always, console you. At some point, you just need to grow up. At some point, you need to just stop it and move on, because it can be to a place where the little boy that cried wolf. At some point, people are going to stop visiting you.
Right. And you made that statement, making excuses, when God says, Christ quickly asked him, "Will thou be made whole?" as opposed to answering a stern, because the reason why you come in there, you want to get in the pool.
Yeah.
So if that's the reason, then why are you making excuses about being made whole? Why not just answer the question? Yes, I want to be made whole. But I'm sure there was some gratification in being lame.
Yeah.
There was some gratification in not having to do it for yourself and someone else having pity, because pity is good. Even all of us experience having someone have pity on you.
Yeah.
When you're in that state of feeling really bad and someone take pity on you, it makes you feel good for a moment to think that someone else cares. But pity is not a place that believers are supposed to stay, because it's a temporary holding spot.
And you'll get stuck.
And not only will you get stuck, but you'll get left. People don't last long in pity.
That's good.
People don't tarry long in pity. People won't, long suffer with you in pity. There's a difference between pity and being merciful and being, showing kindness. Pity is a short-lived place. It's not supposed to be long-term.
It's kind of like study has proven. They say you went to the hospital and you was out beyond 32 weeks. Your visitation going to slow down.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much people love you.
Yeah.
They will, in the beginning, like, God forbid, if something was to happen where you had to be in the hospital, the first couple of weeks, I couldn't keep them out of the room, probably.
Yeah.
The next couple of weeks, they'll be scheduling it when I'm going to come by.
Yeah.
2 more weeks after that, it'll probably narrow down to your closest.
Out of mind. Yeah.
Your closest people. And then after that, it'll be the faithful. It'll be just, Pat.
Yeah, she'll be there. Yeah. When I was a chaplain, I recall I had a patient. She was, what you just talked about, she had some major scars from a marriage that she had got delivered from. But for some odd reason, she still kept feeling like the guy owed her something. And he had moved on. He had talked about her beyond measure.
Right.
And he actually had taken another wife.
Oh, wow.
And which he moved on life. Now, unfortunately, she died without the re-healing process with him.
Right.
Because he wasn't interested in healing with her. So what she would do is she would do things to bring attention to the family, hoping that he would come around. But
wow.
But he didn't. He wouldn't. So that's why it's important. You have to understand, when you deal with scars, don't let the scar remain so long that people become intolerant of you.
And this the thing, that's exactly what I was saying, because after a while, like I said, pity is not a place long term. It's supposed to be a place to remind people to stop for a moment and deal with this situation or this person or assist them. But it's not supposed to be 20 years of pity for a person.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a growth place where you have pity is for me to take notice.
Yeah.
And then at that moment of pity is to take and help you to progress past this place. Not keep you here in a state of pitifulness,
Yeah.
and then everybody have to come to your pitifulness. Because no one is going to last forever in pitifulness with you. So you have to heal. You have to, even when it's self-inflicted, and this is what the show is about. When we cause our own injuries and our own pains and our own hurts, I understand that we need to heal.
Yes.
But we have to own, how did I get here? I think that's the number one thing, is how did I get here?
And why have I been here so long?
And why have I been here so long? And even if it's a short period of time, you know, what got me to the place, not them, what got me to the place where I'm here and this injury has happened to me, or this thing has happened to me. Like to me, if you're in a relationship where it's not good, it ain't godly or whatever it is, you have to ask yourself, this is causing me a lot of pain. Why am I holding into this pain? Why am I allowing myself to be self-afflicted with this relationship? It don't have to be husband and, I mean, not husband, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It can be friendships that are so toxic that you have to ask yourself, why am I self-afflicting with this relationship? Why am I causing myself this pain? And anytime you find yourself with a friendship or a relationship that you dread to see the person coming,
They're not your friend.
I mean, but sometimes people have those relationships.
Yeah.
They don't know how to turn it off. And to me, that is self-inflicting. I'm causing myself injury with a person that they drag you down with their presence because they are whatever toxic that they are. They drag you down, and now you just constantly, I call, in a state of just unhappiness, which causes scars, which causes your injury. But you're doing this to yourself as opposed to open up your mouth, own it. Like, why am I here? Why am I tolerating this from this person?
We're kind of like even with family matters, you know. Sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, family have those scars that have gone on from childhood to young adult to adulthood, and no one is taking the time to address those. Except we go to the family reunion, knowing going to the family, you're going to bring you pain, but yet you go trying to prove a point, and proving something to someone doesn't make a difference. The best thing you can do is learn to protect yourself and overcome that.
I know. I was just reading in this in Psalms that it was talking about. I was trying to find that scripture. And I think this is in Psalms in 90. And, oh Lord, come back to us. How long will you delay? Take pity on your servants. That's what I was trying. Take pity on your servants. But even God, like when we say, Lord, take pity on us, in the moment of his pity, in the moment of his having pity for us or feeling a sense of, let me have mercy on them, he still has a requirement after that.
Yes.
After he has mercy on us, there's going to be a standard or something he's going to require of us to get going, to get moving. Have mercy on us, like we'll say, Lord, bless me in my finances. I need a financial breakthrough. This is something that was self-inflicting all the time. Have mercy on me on my finances, and then the Lord will have a breakthrough in your life, financial breakthrough, right? And then we turn right back around
and do it again.
And get back into debt, injure ourselves all over again, causing what? Self-inflicting wounds. Pains that now we sitting back again, wringing our hands. Lord, how we gonna do it? Lord, how we gonna do it?
When he already told you how
when he already told you how to do it, he had pity on you. He established a way of out for you, and then we turn back around because we have not learned how to not afflict on ourselves self-injuries and scars, and to heal and move forward. Like the healing to me in finances is to feel like you don't have to have everything you see.
Yeah, that's good.
Like you have to literally tell yourself you're not entitled to everything you see.
Good point. Now, I was thinking about how in my history, coming up as a young male in my family, I'm the baby of the family, so they say I was spoiled, but I don't think I was. Just had a lot of candy going around. But
Call it what you may.
I remember as a kid how I would see my mom and her friends every Friday would get together.
Right.
And they would have their little, you know, party thing.
Tardy.
The tardy party, but it was, you know.
Gotcha.
And I remember this particular lady, I can't call her name, but.
Don't call her name.
But I remember her and this guy were involved. She was married, I remember that much. And one day, every Friday, they would have their little cat fight battle. And I remember one day, because our back of our house, you know, it was not upstairs, downstairs, but the back porch was up real high. And we had, somehow, the kids played in the yard, broke the rail that, you know, when you come to you turn down, but the rail, you go straight off. So I remember somebody running right past me. First, she ran, and she hit me through the door and went way in the air flying, because she went right into the dirt. And he's so stupid, he ran right behind her, he did the same thing. And I'm thinking, what you're saying, this is self-affliction. Right. These are scars that she didn't have to have in her life, but she kept going back to the same relationship, which basically never got delivered from.
Causing her own afflictions, and then you sit back to this man ain't no good. He does this to me, he does that to me, and we're not understanding. Now, I'm not condoning. Don't send me no messages about condoning domestic violence. I'm not that. I'm not saying that anyone is entitled to hit anyone at all. But what I'm saying is, why poke the bear? When you don't have to poke the bear. And to me, to stir up that kind of fire in a spouse of what you call
abusive.
Coming, you know, having somebody in your life that's not supposed to be in life on the side of your husband or your wife. You know, to me, that's poking the bear. Why cause that kind of affliction in your home or on your children or stuff like that? I think that
that produce another scar, because you're already in a bad situation, and now you're doing something with someone else and bringing another situation, so you got scars upon scars.
Why not just leave this person and move on with your life? Why cause what I call self-affliction, which is holding on to the knife while literally grabbing another knife? So you got two injuries going on because we don't know how to heal from self-affliction. We don't know how to not cause injury to ourselves. So we just go one thing after another, causing more and more affliction, more and more injury, and then we find ourselves in a low place and with no hope and feeling hopeless. But I wanted to say to our listening audience today that in order to come out of these, I call cycles of self-afflicting wounds, and to heal from it, to heal from your scars, you got to own it. You got to own, this is something I am either doing or allowing to be done. And so you got to own that. And then you have to be willing to not make excuses for it. Like, don't say, well, this is the reason why I'm doing this. This is the reason why. Don't make excuses. If it's a spiritual thing, and Christ, I know, is our